Hey everyone, so we are out here at the Ranch MX, just doing some exhaust pipe testing. I work with Pro Circuit, so it's quite nice to get understanding of the different pipes and stuff that they do, and I just got myself a YZ125, so yeah, just doing a bit of pipe testing. I already use this sort of stuff a lot, like looking on YouTube and stuff like that. Obviously stuff's expensive now and you don't want to be wasting a load of money on stuff that doesn't work, or you know, you want to go in a direction. It's always nice when somebody else does a test and gives their feedback, so at least you've got like a semi-decent base to work from, you know. So there's nothing worse than going and spending, you know, $300-400 on a pipe and using it and it doesn't work, you know. So I use a lot, like every time I go buy a new part, I always have a look, do like some research on it and stuff. So pretty cool. Today we're going to test 4 different silencers. I've fitted the RV2 Pro Circuit front pipe onto 2021 YZ125. It's got a 470 main jet, a 42.5 pilot jet, and a V-force, and other than that it's a stock standard bike. I went for the RV2 front pipe and just heard really good stuff about it. It was when Ryan was riding the two-stroke championship in America, when they kind of went with the AMA racing, so he did quite a bit of development, so we started with that. So we're going to start off with the R304 silencer. So that's what I've used like the last 4 or 5 years. It's almost impossible for me to ride a bike without one now on a YZ125. It just, where I'm quite heavy on the bike, it brings a lot of bottom end in, and just picks the bike up really quick, you know. Like even when you shift gears and stuff, the power is like instantly there. So I really like it. Like a lot of people moan about the noise and stuff on it and say it needs packing, but I do keep it packed. It's just, you know, it sounds like 90s 125 racing, which I like as well. So I'll actually be surprised if we can get anything that's better than that, just because that's worked on every single setup that I've had. I think the last YZ125 ended up on a like a factory Doma front pipe that they handmade, and then that silencer just works on every single front pipe. So we've got that. We've got the special edition RV2 carbon titanium silencer. I think it's got a different core size and it's a different length to the standard carbon one as well, so I've managed to get one of them. And then we've got the 304, so like the old school, a little bit longer Pro Circuit silencer as well. So quite a cool day. 4 silencers to test. What I'll do is I'll do a 50-minute moto, and then on the last lap of the moto I'll put the GoPro on and do 1 heater lap, so you guys can hear how it sounds on the track, how it picks up. And then I'll do a review after each one as well. I'll say what I kind of felt on the track, and I'll also do a sound test. So once I finish my moto, while the bike's still warm, I'll just do like a little quick test. It sounds cool on 125, so check it out. So I've just done the first session with the R304 shorty on, my favorite one, and to be fair, the bike feels a little bit fluffy off the bottom. I don't know if it's too rich or too lean. I went from a 45 standard to a 42.5 pilot, so I might go back to the 45. Bike feels good, nice and snappy. Kind of feels a little bit like it's making more noise than it is power at the minute, so it'll be interesting to see what these other ones feel like. But yeah, again, fun bike to race just because it's got so much bottom, especially with that silencer on, you know, like you can definitely pick up, but just got to try clean the bottom end a little bit. You'll see it on the rev video, like it's decent off the bottom and then there's like quarter throttle. It doesn't sound very clean and then it revs out nicely, so the main jet must be right, so I'll change that. And then the next thing I'm going to try, I'm going to put the standard carbon titanium silencer on, so that'll be the next test. So just finished the session testing the standard carbon titanium silencer and I was stoked. It was really cool. The bike didn't lose any of that bottom end that I said about that the R304 had, which is, that's the biggest thing for me in a 125, is to be able to have the pick off of the bottom. The difference I found was, I don't know if it was the change in the pilot, but that's definitely cleaned the bottom up. But where the R304 has got a big hit in the bottom and then the mid and then it signs off, the carbon one, it's got a big hit, but then it kind of like, it's got less of a strong middle, but then it makes the top feel a little bit longer, if that makes sense, so it doesn't like use up all the power in the mid-range. It's got a little bit less mid-range, but then the power carries on a little bit more, so a little bit easier to ride. Sounds so cool. With the R304 it sounds a little bit tinny, like it does actually sound like the silencer he's packing, but with the carbon one it sounds sweet, dude. It sounds so rad. You'll hear it on the video. Again, like on the rev up, nice and clean off the bottom, and then I think it's more the needle now. I think there's a special needle you can get for those bikes that cleans it up, but literally just in the middle there's a little bit of fluff in the middle, but the top's clean and the bottom's clean. And again, just really nice, like fun to ride, you know, like power from the bottom to the top. The over rev's good, you can change down and hold the gears nicely, so I was really pumped on it. I didn't think we'd come anywhere close to that R304, how good that was, and this is as good. Probably I'd say it's actually a little bit better. If I had the choice between the two, I'd probably race with this carbon one. So next up we're going to do the 304, so the longer kind of standard type of silencer, and then we'll save the carbon RV2 for last, because I'm quite excited to try that. So Okay, so that was the 304 that we just tried, so kind of like a standard silence, a little bit longer, and I was actually quite pleasantly surprised. I really thought that was going to kill the power, kind of where I've been speaking, where I need the power on the bike. I thought it was going to go away, but it was definitely a lot. It lost a bit off the bottom. It definitely wasn't as strong off the bottom, but it was a lot smoother, you know, like the bike, it didn't hit as hard, but there was power off the bottom. I was quite surprised how much it did actually have off the bottom, but it's very like linear power, you know, like there's no massive hit like the other one does. It's very smooth power, but obviously when it's linear on the bottom, it's going to make the bike rev on more, and it's yeah, just a lot smoother, like all the way through the power band, which was quite nice to ride. You know, I think, you know, if I weighed, I don't know, 73, 74 kilograms, I'd definitely choose to race with that, you know, because there's enough there off the bottom if I wasn't heavy. But definitely, you know, it's kind of weird to ride. Like obviously you just move power about on these bikes, you know, like, so you can see how the powers move from like a load of bottom to like just smooth from bottom to top, you know, like you're never going to find one that does both. So I guess you just got to choose which one suits your riding style better. But as I said before, like I was definitely surprised. You know, I thought I was going to lose completely all that nice bottom end power, but it's still there, just a little bit smoother. It sounds really cool, like you'll see on the sound. I think actually probably sounds better, you know, like it sounds really nice on the throttle. So pretty stoked on it. So if I was to choose right now which one I'd use, I'd probably go with the standard carbon one, just because I like that bottom end, and it really just gets you going, you know. I don't mind hooking more gears if I've got the bottom end to take me. So last one we're going to try is the RV2 one, so one more to go. That's the RV2 carbon titanium silencer tested, and man, it's so good. I heard a lot of good stuff about it. All the reviews you see it and stuff is pretty good, but it's always nice to test and just confirm it. Bike sounds unreal, like sounds so cool, kind of like how you kind of think a 125 should sound like, you know, just very sharp, very crisp. Yeah, it sounds so good. You'll hear it on the rev up and stuff. But power wise, compared to the standard carbon, same sort of bottom, so it's got that nice real big hit off the bottom and very strong mid, but it just seems to not sound off as quick. It's got, like, I don't know, like you can hold the gear like a tiny second, and also when you over rev it, it doesn't feel like it's retarding the motor. Like there is like a nice little bit of over rev. One of the turns I changed down a gear when I land and really try push in, and with the R304 and the first carbon one we tried, it was like, you know, the bike was making noise but not going forward, but this one does actually still drive when you ride at the top of the power band. So that's always nice in a 125, especially when you're racing it hard. And yeah, it's kind of like a no-brainer for myself. Like, that's the one I would choose to race with 100%, just because it's still got the hit at the bottom. It's got nice, very strong in the middle, so when you're changing gear and stuff, the bike doesn't die down with power, it just keeps going forward. And then yeah, you've got the benefit of just having that tiny bit of over rev at the top as well, you know. So yeah, that's the one I would choose. As I said before, the 304, I was kind of mind blown by that as well, you know. Like, I definitely think if you're like a kid coming up, especially going on a bike for the first time, where that very aggressive hit sometimes can be hard to handle, especially when you're coming from an 85 or something like that, I definitely think that would be a good bike for you. Just a lot broader power band, you know. Like, you can hang the gears, there's not a big hit and a loss, you know. Like, it's a very linear power, so I would recommend that for like a novice rider or a kid moving up. You know, even some tracks, I think, like if I was to ride in the sand, you know, I'd possibly ride that. But just where I said before, I'm heavy and I need that bottom end punch, you know. So very cool, nice to do a bit of testing again. I do enjoy testing. I don't enjoy the mechanic side of changing stuff around anymore, but we got it done. And yeah, I hope it just gives you guys an insight, you know. Like, you won't have to go buy 4 silencers. You can kind of take on board a little bit of what I said and make a decision and maybe get 2, you know. So thanks for watching.